The Frozen North, Episode 68, our top 5 console launch titles.
Hello everybody, welcome to episode number 68 of the Frozen North Gaming Podcast. My name is JJ and I'm here with my two friends, Mark.
Howdy, y'all! My name is Mark, as you just heard, and I'm excited to be back on the podcast.
That was impressive. That was
Damn.
a good guttural, just rocket fire.
Put my whole body into it. Did you see?
That was good. I did. You leaned into the mic.
That's right.
It was impressive. Solid. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you.
And Brian.
Hey, Brian here. That's all I got.
Okay. All right. Good talk.
Thank you.
Mark, so first of all, before we talk about what we've been playing, Brian, I need to know, did you listen to the last episode?
I did.
Did you listen to it in its entirety?
I did not listen to it in its entirety.
Yeah.
I listened to about... Hold on. I listened to about 80% of it. I did hear that you predicted I was going to be eating General Tso's while I was listening, but I actually listened to it at work.
You wanted to be eating General Tso's, though.
Of course I did. In
Yeah.
my mind, I was.
Okay, well, that's all that matters. It's a thought that counts.
That's right.
See?
That's right.
What about the top 5 list? You gonna work on that?
Yeah.
You're not at all.
It's
are
all
you? You
gone out of
jerk.
my mind, though. I was going to say which one I was thinking about, and it's just gone.
You were thinking about the next Batman game.
Yeah, I think that'll be a great one to start with.
So you didn't listen to the whole episode?
I skipped a little bit right after you said what you
So
had played
because
recently.
of that, Brian and I have a couple of intervention letters we'd like to read you.
That's fine.
I'm just kidding.
You already, last episode,
I
you
knew
already,
Brian didn't have one.
last episode, we already determined that you agree with everything I always say.
I heard that, yes.
Yeah,
Every time I
so-
didn't disagree with you,
Right.
that was implicit agreement.
Good, so good. I'm glad we were all on the same page last episode.
I guess 108 characters is too much.
You mean 108 Pokemon?
Wow. I can't believe you just
You heard it here first, folks.
I mean,
Man.
I didn't think it was, but then apparently last week I agreed that it
You
was.
did, but it was only your
And-
silence.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, what have you guys been playing lately?
I've been playing roulette,
You went to Vegas.
and I've played a lot of craps as well.
Video games. Any video games?
Yes, not...
video roulette and video
I did play a little bit of the video roulette.
You dork.
Hey. Video roulette.
Yeah,
where
go
you
ahead,
could
defend that.
You can
Yeah.
bet pennies on it, dude.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
What was your character's
I
journey?
didn't play a lot of video games because I'm Mark. But
I was gonna say,
I did pick up Rare Replay,
There you go.
and I realized that I never got nearly as far in Battletoads as I thought I did.
That's
My
it's a tough
God.
game. They made
Yeah.
it easier though.
If I didn't have that rewind button,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they didn't have back then.
ridiculous.
I wouldn't have gotten even as far as I did as a kid.
Ugh. Unbelievable.
I don't know how people beat that game.
I don't think a lot of people
I
did.
don't think. Yeah. I saw a news article that was talking about how they had this tournament a while ago. Did you just hear my Jersey accent come back?
Tournament.
Right. Tournament.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, it's how I talk now.
Hey.
It's how I used to talk when I was a kid and I lived back east.
Hey.
All right. But no, they had a tournament where the winner would get a custom NES, like decked out with Battletoads all
Yeah.
over it and stuff. And they had tons of entrants, and all you had to do was go in and you had to beat Battletoads. And the first person to beat it would get the custom system. Nobody won.
It's amazing.
Yeah, isn't that
awesome.
crazy?
Yeah,
I mean, I understand it though.
Oh yeah,
After
absolutely.
playing, like the snake part,
it's brutal.
you just have to know where the snakes are going to be, and if you don't, you die, and you only have like 5 lives if you're lucky.
Here's a question to pose. Was that intentional or just really bad game design?
I think it comes from the arcade era where they just wanted you to put in more quarters and
Did it
make
ever
the
come
game
out?
really hard. Is how you do
If you
that.
look at arcade games, they're all very repetitive, and it's all about memorization and trying to think about what the next step is going to be.
Was Battletoads an arcade game at one point?
There's Battletoads Arcade, but I think it was modeled after that.
Modeled
Was
after
the original
that.
was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Weirdly, the exact opposite of that is Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, where I probably played for 45 minutes to an hour and never got outside of the tutorial.
Oh wow, jeez.
Yep.
That all you played on the replay? Just those two?
Those two and just a bit of cameo as well. But
okay.
Yeah, just a little sampling.
That all you played?
Yep.
I played a little bit of Rare Replay as well. I played Perfect Dark. I did the first level on that.
Nice.
And I forgot when you get into the room with the head honcho, you're not supposed to have a weapon drawn. And so I got in there. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm calling security. And I was like, "Oh, this part. That's right. Whoops." And then the whole building came down on me. But I also play a little RC Pro-Am, which I love that game. It's so simple, but it's so fun. And a little bit of Blast Corps, which
Nice.
That is such a great game. Ugh, so much fun. And then obviously Final Fantasy XIV. I've been knee deep in that. So I'm working my way through Heaven's Ward. I'm level 56 on my White Mage and just trucking right along. So having fun with that. Brian.
Final Fantasy 14 exclusively. Got sucked in. I'm gonna play it till I get to in game, and then I can settle back down. Still need to beat Witcher 3. I'm at the very last part of it. I think I've got most of the side quests done. So, yep,
Most of the side quests.
it's.
So you must have. Like,
I've dipped about 175 hours into that game. Just FYI.
that's pretty crazy.
Yes.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we did get an email. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's kind of long, but there's some good points in here that I wanted to bring up. It's actually from Lightning over at Terran Lightning's RPG Roundup.
Nice.
A few episodes ago, we did our top 5 video game series. Well, she sent over her top 5 video game series as well, and I mean it's very JRPG heavy, just like mine. But there is one in there that I thought was really cool as well. So her number 5 is the Xeno series, which is really surprising because she does not like Xenogears. Neither one of them do on that show at all. If you've ever listened to them, they do not like that game at all. But she talked about the Xeno Saga series, which she really, really liked, especially the third game, which honestly I felt the exact same way. You guys haven't played.
I played
all the way
through
through.
mostly
The first
one. Yeah.
Yeah, the third one is by far and away my favorite. I thought they got better, honestly. And then her number 4 is the Star Ocean series. And man,
Till the end of time.
You know what? It's just that one part. Every other part of the game is solid. All right,
That part's
just the
solid.
one twist.
That part's
I
solid
know
also.
You like it.
Mark likes it for the troll factor.
Yeah,
That's true.
Absolutely. The new one looks phenomenal, though. Looks absolutely amazing. Her number 3 is this is the one I thought was cool. The Civilization series.
Nice.
Nice.
She's really big on Civ 4. I played Civ 3 like crazy. You used to play Civ 3 with us. didn't you, a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. I
Your
think the
brother
ones
and I
I
used
played
to
the
play it.
most are 2 and 5.
2 and 5. Okay.
Yeah.
Your brother and I played 3 a lot when we lived together. But yeah, I mean, that's such an addicting game when you get into it and you kind of it doesn't take much to learn,
Yeah.
but there's so much like depth there that you can keep learning for
You
as
just play
long as
like
you want
one
to play.
game for 12 hours.
Oh my gosh, at least. Yeah, it's insane. I had to save so many times just because I couldn't. And then I would just eventually like forget about it and then I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I still have that save game on there," and I wouldn't remember what was going on, so but yeah, great series there. Number 2, Disgaea. I have not played them, but I just bought 6 titles.
Nice.
So I plan to start it eventually. This is very, very JRPG heavy, tactical RPG.
Yeah.
And I've been itching to play a tactical
Yeah.
RPG.
I don't
so-
know a lot of people that have played this, but I don't know anyone that doesn't like it. So
right.
that's saying
Anybody
something.
that exactly. It's one of those where I don't know too many people who have played it, but if they have played it, they're in love with it.
Yeah.
And they think it's great. So that's why I'm excited to try it. Because I mean, from what I understand, there's not if you're a JRPG fan, which hello, you're gonna find something to love there. So, and then number 1, Final Fantasy.
Solid.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Boom.
It's pretty fantastic.
So, yeah, thank you very much, Lightning, for the email. And honestly, I want to give them I know we've done it several times on the show, but I really want to give them another big shout out, specifically because I know that our show has not become as story focused as we would have liked it to be. That we like how we advertised in the beginning. We've kind of drifted a little bit from that. Like we're kind of just encompassing gaming all over
Right.
at this point.
Yeah.
They have honestly stayed true to their original nature and what they do from the beginning. They go through games in depth and give you just every aspect, every nook and cranny of those games. It's really, really good to listen to. And if you have not given them a shot, please go over there. Terran Lightning's RPG Roundup.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, if you would like to email us, and I mean that's how easy it is. You just shoot us your top 5 list. We'll read it on the air, and we'll talk about it a little bit. Please do. Our email address is frozennorthpodcast@gmail.com. Our website is fngaming.net. Our Facebook is facebook.com/thefrozennorth. Our Twitter is @fnpodcast. Mark promises that he will keep that a little more up to date than he has been. Our blog is frozennorthpodcast.blogspot.com, and we're on iTunes, where please rate us on there. Just go up there, throw us a rating. Even if you don't listen on iTunes, if you just go on there, just throw a quick review on there so other people can see us. We would greatly appreciate it. For every review you leave on there, Mark will tweet 30 times.
12 times.
30 times. You don't have to do it right in succession.
Deal.
Okay, thank you. News.
Hey guys, the news here.
Hey guys, the news.
The news is here. All right.
Hey guys, how doing?
We got the first one is a huge article, big drop bomb on here. The first expansion for City Skylines is announced.
Yes!
Yeah! Right? Oh!
Yes!
Oh, so that's announced.
You didn't say what it was called.
No, I don't really care.
Yes,
my next bullet point.
Hold on there.
Whoa.
This new expansion introduces a day-night cycle to the series. It also introduces specialized property types, like you can now zone things as luxury beachside property to increase the property value. No longer does everything get treated as the same type of property. So it's really cool.
You didn't say the title either.
I think it's like Nightfall or something.
You don't even know. It's After Dark.
It's After Dark. My next bullet point here, Mark, all it says is nothing really to say here. It's a city planning game.
I just said a lot, though.
Well, I know. On to actual announcements of video games. World of Warcraft, they gave more details to their next expansion, which is called Legion. For all of you that are big WoW fans, looks like you're going to get a new class, a Demon Hunter. They've got a reworked Call of Duty-esque PvP system they're going to be dropping. Level cap, obviously, 110. Artifact weapons. And then they didn't announce a release date, as is tradition with Blizzard. They are a company who will release it when it's ready, and I'm sure they'll be dropping that soon. But I saw a few of the videos, and while I've kind of put WoW behind me, there are some interesting changes going to be made, and obviously you're going to get to go toe-to-toe with the Burning Legion because they're back.
Melee Hunters, man.
Melee Hunters, that old wing clip.
Changing survival to melee spec. If you play WoW, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you can head over to Game Informer. That's where I read the article, and they have all the details that Blizzard laid out for their expansion. And then some Square Enix news. They hint pretty strongly, but didn't guarantee necessarily that Final Fantasy 15 is going to be a 2016 release. Most likely, based on Tabata's basically conversation he had, it sounds like we're going to get it late 2016, based on the fact that he was talking about that he would be highly surprised and disappointed if it slipped into 2017.
It's only 65% done.
Yeah. But based on the demo, I mean, honestly, that's fantastic because the demo already looked amazing.
Yeah, but 2006 is when it was announced. So 65%.
I realize. I still adhere to the mentality of just release it when you're ready, when you know it's going to stand up on its own. Batman Arkham Knight really made it apparent that if you don't have a good product,
so you would wait till like 2024.
I would rather them come out with a game that's done and doesn't have any issues than rush a release. I would obviously not like it to be 2024.
There's a difference between reasonable amount of time and rushing.
I realize that, but if you were to say, okay, Brian, you have two choices, it's going to be kind of a buggy, messed up game, but we'll get it out to you a couple years sooner, I'd just be like, all right, you know what, wait on it. But that's just me. I know a lot of people want it now. But it does sound like 2016 is the target goal, so that's exciting. About a year and a half away, and we're romping through the land. I know I'm excited. Mark?
Yay!
City Skylines,
2016.
It'll be Christmas if anything.
Yeah. And then another Blizzard announcement: Legacy of the Void will release this year. So we're looking probably at a fall and or early winter release. Brush up on the old campaigns, guys. Get through those stories and relive it, because the final chapter is upon us. Again, as is Blizzard tradition, no actual release date announced. They just confirmed that it will be 2015. So we'll be probably getting that news here soon, hopefully. And then more of a strange news: Destiny dev dropped Peter Dinklage for Nolan North.
Oh yeah, I saw that. And they recorded all his lines.
Yeah, so there was a lot of, I guess, criticism over Peter Dinklage's performance.
I thought it was fine.
A lot of people did.
Agree.
It was very controversial. A lot of people liked it. A lot of people hated it. With the new expansion, they didn't re-sign Peter Dinklage, obviously, to do the voice of Ghost, so they hired Nolan North. And according to Bungie, they want to keep it consistent. So they said, well, we're going to go back and re-record the older lines so we maintain the voice. So, tinfoil hat theories, obviously, or they did this on purpose, and, but it's weird. It's weird. I've never actually, have we ever had this happen where a character gets redubbed after he's already recorded it in a game?
I'm sure we have.
Really?
Not as
high
big of
profile
something like this, yeah.
Maybe not, because, this is kind of a unique, we're going to now...
Dragon Ball Z. They went back and redid all the old episodes.
Oh, well, I thought we were talking about games.
Games.
Well, I'm just saying it's happened before.
Well,
I was thinking, because Destiny is this product where it exists and keeps getting new expansions and keeps on living, whereas with most games, it's just, here's the next entry in the series.
Sure.
So they're not going to go back and retroactively change.
And Bungie wanted to be clear, they didn't fire Peter Dinklage or anything. They just want to keep the voice consistent, which, that's a valid reason.
They seem to be hinting at, they said it wasn't because of any complaints, so maybe it's because Nolan North is just cheaper.
That's probably true, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Even though he's a big name in the video game voiceover
but
world. He's not
Game of Thrones
correct.
Peter Dinklage.
Yeah.
And then, so Phil Spencer, he's the head of Xbox One, the gaming side of Microsoft. He talked at length about third-party exclusives. So I think JJ and I had this conversation in the car. I can name 6 PlayStation exclusives that are world beaters, meaning they're absolutely fantastic, wonderful properties, system sellers for Sony. I can only name 3, 2 mostly, but 3 if you add Fable. I don't really consider Fable to be a world beater, but I think what he's doing is he's trying to focus Xbox back on creating good first-party content and kind of pulling away from buying up third-party properties. The whole Tomb Raider debacle comes to mind, where a lot of backlash for gobbling that up for a year, a lot of anger towards them. And I think he realized that they need to bolster their library of first-party support rather than look to buy third-party support.
Absolutely.
I think it's a fantastic decision. I know JJ agrees. We talked about it at length in the car.
It's not, and just to be clear, they're not saying no more third party.
Right.
They're just, if Sony says, hey, we're going to pay X amount to get this third party exclusive, there's going to be much less of a chance for Microsoft to say, all right, well, we'll counter offer them with something.
Yeah.
They're just most likely going to be all right, you know what, we'll just focus on what we're good at. And I think that's a great idea. Mainly because I've been a Sony guy since as long as I can remember, but at the same time, the Xbox exclusives stand out to me more. Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell you any exclusives that I have played that I would buy the system for on any Sony console, other than when the Final Fantasy games were exclusive to the PS1 and PS2 and stuff, and that was just me personally. But Halo has been that title, that carried an entire console, 3 cycles now.
Yeah.
So it's they are strong with their first party, and I think them focusing on that and keeping their strengths in perspective is a really good move.
It's a good business strategy too, because they can take that capital that they would be bidding for the third party support and taking it and putting it into developing new IPs. Building
why pay
studios
someone
up.
else to make a game
Absolutely.
and have them walk away to someone else later on when you could just own the whole
That's
the whole farm?
Exactly.
And like you just said, we might see some new IPs come out of this,
which is the best news we could have had. So that was a really good thing for Phil Spencer. He's been kind of kicking butt lately. I'll agree.
He's a smart guy.
He is a smart guy.
All right, guys, that's your news for this day in 2015. Appreciate y'all.
There's also a bunch of new trailers and stuff up that came out of Gamescom, so go check that out. Go check out the Final Fantasy 15 trailer with Marlboro. Oh,
yeah.
That thing's cool.
Talk about a world beater.
Halo Wars 2.
Yeah, Halo Wars 2.
That's the news. That's on news.
That's news. But yeah, enjoy your news, guys. We'll have some more morsels for you next episode. I'm trying to get a good catchphrase, but it's not working. News 10. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Will we? We don't need to.
That's news
fine.
From Brian. I don't know. We'll figure it out. If you guys have any really good news catchphrases, send them to JJ and he'll tell me.
I'm not going to do the voice though.
No, but he'll be like, Brian, say this in that voice, and I'll do it.
All right. We're doing a Beyond the Game segment. We have talked about silent protagonists in games before. I believe one of our first episodes was a top 5 silent protagonists. But I don't think we've ever really gone in depth about talking about, what the point of them is, whether we prefer them or not, why a game would choose to have them, et cetera, et cetera. So, Mark, why don't you tell us what is a silent protagonist?
Hold on.
Glad I picked you.
Good timing.
A silent protagonist is a protagonist. A protagonist is like the main character in a story. Now, add silent to that, and you get a silent protagonist.
Holy moly.
You see, the ancient Romans first started... Oh, my God.
Silent protagonist is the main character and doesn't talk.
Essentially, that's what it boils down to, yeah. It's basically your main character, you're controlling him. All the characters around you talk, and it's kind of in most situations where your guy will just be sitting there just blank and lifeless. Yeah. Somebody else will come over to you and say, hey, I think we need to go rescue this, little dog from a cave. He's being attacked by monsters. Should we go? And then there will be just a pause, and then all of a sudden the other character will say, I knew you'd agree with me. Let's go do this.
And then you nod.
Thanks, Chrono. I can always rely on you to cheer me up.
Exactly, yeah. Which, that's one thing I always thought was weird when people say Chrono is such a great character. It's like,
Chrono just stands there.
Yeah.
But, and I know because that'll probably get me some flack, I understand that the way others react off of him does build his character and tells you blah, blah, blah. I get it.
It is interesting. Can we just dive right in?
Yeah, absolutely.
It is interesting that there's 2 different ways that you can approach it.
Mm-hmm.
One, you have the Half-Life 2 approach where Gordon Freeman doesn't talk. You're not going to hear him talk. People will actually reference the fact that he doesn't talk, etc. And that's just how it works. And then you've got sort of the JRPG approach, which is we're implying that he's talking. You're just not hearing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
And, I mean, there's several different ways you can do it, because this would fall under that, what you just said.
Yeah.
When he doesn't outright say anything, but, say, an option comes on the screen saying, yes, we should go there, or no, we shouldn't go there.
Exactly.
You choose one, your character is technically saying that.
Yeah. So, I think that way can work really well, but you do have to be careful, because sometimes it just gets awkward. It's what did he say?
Right.
She's reacting. What did he say?
Yeah.
But when it's done right, and oftentimes it is, you can see it in most of Chrono Trigger and also
Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
And I think it started out. It's trickier writing for a silent protagonist too, because you have to make sure your supporting cast is on point. Because you have a silent protagonist and your starting cast is blah. It's just you're looking at them okay. Yeah. But I think it started out as a memory issue. I'm pretty sure the old RPGs where your character didn't say anything, but all the characters around you did. They didn't want to add the lines, the tons of lines of dialogue you'd have to have as a character, because you're going to be with your character the whole game, right? So really, he should have a ton of dialogue. Look at Master or Commander Shepard. He does the
Right.
talking. He has tons of lines. He has the most lines out of anybody in the game, and that's what would happen with most main protagonists. So back then, they had to save that dialogue for the world around them, all the townspeople. So I think it was started out as a necessity, but it became an art form. Like you said, Gordon Freeman in Half-Life. They could have definitely given him lines. At that point, the technology was good enough to. But it says something about the writing to make a character like Chrono a great character without him ever having to say anything. It has to do with the writing you put around him.
Yeah. And, I mean, people will tell you that they do this because they want you to feel like you're in the shoes of that character. They want you to identify with the character.
Yeah.
And feel like you're in that world. And I agree. And I think that's definitely where people come from now when they do it.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it's like, okay, gaming coming out of arcades. I'm thinking specifically of like Battletoads because I have that fresh in my mind. You are the Battletoads. The Battletoads don't talk.
Right.
It's not because they're silent protagonists. It's just they don't talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get the exposition from some guy up in the spaceship talking down to you or whatever.
Good point.
Yeah. And I don't think it started from not wanting to save space. I would imagine it probably started from like, how can we get people to relate to the characters?
That's true.
Most likely. And in a way, you're kind of like, I think they had the mindset that your thoughts, what's going through your mind as you're experiencing the world, are what your character's thoughts are.
I could see that, especially RPGs coming from tabletop RPGs.
Right, exactly.
Obviously, you're not being told what to say. You're saying it as your character, so they don't want, obviously, to put words in your character's mouth in these RPGs. They
Right.
want you to, organically respond.
This was
to-
before gaming was really highly cinematic.
Yes.
So it probably would have been weird and jarring back then at that point.
Yeah.
If it's just suddenly the main character has this giant script that he's reading out.
All right.
Final Fantasy XIV does it in a kind of an odd way. Like, your character flat out talks to the others. Nothing just ever comes out of his mouth.
Right.
Like, he'll make the motions with his mouth and he'll move his hand around and stuff like he's talking. You just won't hear anything.
Right.
Or you'll pick a dialogue option or something like that. I'm not sure how I feel about it, to be honest with you.
It's weird.
Yeah, I feel like if you're going to have a silent protagonist, make him a silent protagonist. Don't show that he's talking. I just can't hear him.
Yeah, go all
That's
the way
kinda
with
like,
it.
What?
But I get why they couldn't put lines
Oh,
in.
yeah, absolutely, because everybody's going to sound different.
Yep.
So I don't know.
Yep.
But and it's not a game breaker. It's not
No,
going to kill
not
it
at
for
all.
me. But like Legend of Zelda, good example.
Great example.
I never thought Link was a great character. It's not like, and it's probably because Zelda isn't exactly super story focused.
Right.
So there's really not a lot of interaction from the stuff around him. It's more or less just like, we should go to the temple. And then you go to the temple. And that's about it. But like, other games will have full-on conversations with the silent protagonist. Other people are probably in the room and they're all talking and stuff and whatever and stuff like that.
And he's obviously not mute because he goes, wah! Wow!
Right, yeah.
So
it's, I don't know. I've never, ever been a fan of the way that, I think that's one of the reasons I've never really cared about the story in Zelda, is because I just didn't care about the characters.
Right.
It's always been just a big gameplay and puzzle thing for me. So, well, what about, do you guys prefer having that or no?
That's got its merits, obviously. But if you had to ask me, I'm just going to take my favorite series of all time. At least I hope that's what I put on my first spot.
You
Don't call
even
me
remember.
out. Suikoden, obviously. Don't even look it up. Don't look it up, dude.
You put Suikoden as number one. Come on.
Probably.
Yeah.
But no, if you were asking me what main character I prefer out of the entire series, it's going to be the three main characters from Suikoden 3.
Right.
Just keep talking. I looked it up.
Don't look it up.
I just did.
Don't.
Do you want to know?
No.
You don't want to know?
I don't know, man. It's one of my favorites.
How do you not know what your top 5 is?
I know it's in my top 5.
Like, if it was something from like 4 years ago, or 2, well, not 4, because we haven't been doing it that long, but from like a year and a half ago, I can understand you not remembering your top 5, but 2 weeks ago?
Oh, I forgot that we did this 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. It was Suikoden, you're good.
Yeah, good job.
It was your number 1. But I'm not editing any of this out, so people are still going to know
no,
you had no idea.
I doubt myself. I don't see myself as infallible. So,
It's fine. That's all right. But yeah, it does have a silent protagonist, and they do it beautifully.
but yeah, I don't think the main characters of Suikoden 1 and 2 are great, and I really enjoy them. But Chris and Hugo and Geto are way more interesting characters.
I want to make sure that everybody knows it's Ghetto with a D,
No, it's
not a
ghetto.
T. Because it
It's
sounded
ghetto.
like you said ghetto.
Gecko.
And I'm just going to throw this name out there. He may or may not be in the game, but Thomas as well.
Yeah,
You know, play it. You'll find out.
Yeah. If you like dying in a field a bunch of times until you can finally get to level 2.
Oh my gosh, I remember that. Yeah, good old Thomas. Anything else?
That's
you
all.
don't prefer. I mean,
No,
like,
I think I prefer a spoken protagonist.
yeah, I agree.
But it's not a deal breaker.
I mean, I would be the same. I think you need both. You can't. I would hate if gaming was like, we're always going to make silent protagonists because that.
I thought you meant both in the same game. I was like, how does that work?
No.
He's
You
silent
need both
sometimes.
types of games. Obviously, my favorite series is Mass Effect, or the trilogy is Mass Effect trilogy. Commander Shepard has buckets of lines, right? I don't think he would have done well with as a silent protagonist. There has to be, the game has to be written a certain way because he's a commander of an air. You can't be a commander. I'd say the same thing about Gordon Freeman too. He's a scientist. You can't be a mute scientist, but
Suikoden 1 and 2.
yeah. So there are games where silent protagonists are perfect, and then there are games where if you like take a game that that has a lot of voice acting and then plug in a silent protagonist, and you're like,
Right.
how does that work? So I think I prefer voice acted, but I do love a silent protagonist game. But I know what I'm getting into. A silent protagonist, okay. I know what kind of game this is going to be. It's going to be more of a long methodical trek with a lot of. I find that silent protagonist games have a lot more intrigue. I guess that's just a reach because I guess Mass Effect had tons, but there's a lot more mystery to your character with silent protagonist games, right? Like I kind of knew.
And I think that's the point. Like
Right.
JJ said earlier, is not you're filling in that personality with yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But I think it works if you have less story. It works. On the other hand, can you imagine like a Zelda movie or a Half-Life movie? What are they going to do? Is the main character just gonna stand there?
princess.
Oh my god, I'd watch that. Everyone in the world would be furious, but I'd love it.
No, they just come up. They come up. Link, we've got to go. Yeah.
All right. That's enough of that.
Yay.
But I would prefer it wasn't in there, but I certainly see the merit in some of the games. Honestly, like I said that about Chrono Trigger, but Chrono Trigger's, I mean, it's one of my favorite games of all time. It's phenomenal. And I think if they can do it that way, where yes, it's a silent protagonist, but you don't really even notice. Like, because I knew that he wasn't talking, obviously, but at the same time, it just really didn't matter, and I could tell everything that was going on because of everything else. All the other cogs and wheels were still turning. So I don't know if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just really, really thought it was just well done. But Zelda, I couldn't care less about the story because there's barely anything there. So it's like, silent protagonist or not, I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm just going to be this dude with a sword going out and fighting stuff.
Right.
And that's how I've always looked at it. Anybody have anything else to add on the matter?
Nope.
You always do that. Like you're going to say something.
Mark, you ruined it. We were going to be silent. Damn it. He ruins everything.
It's all right.
Oh.
I'll forgive you.
Okay.
All right, top 5.
Top 5.
Mark, what are we doing for top 5 this week?
Today we are covering our top 5 console launch titles.
Yay!
What does that mean?
That means, what are our favorite games that came out right when a console came out?
Launch window.
Correct. Yep. So, we have any honorable mentions that weren't on the lists?
Yes.
I couldn't think of any, to be
Duck
honest.
Hunt. I want to put that on there. I didn't see it on any of your lists.
Yeah, sure.
I actually preferred Duck Hunt over Super Mario Brothers when it came out in the 2-pack. But I cheated all the time with that game because I hated that dog laughing at me.
You sit up really close to the TV.
Right on the TV.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, but Project Gotham Racing. Just kidding.
Ridge Racer?
That too, but also just kidding.
Oh, man. You know what? I miss demo discs. Like how PlayStation used to do.
Yeah.
I had
Those were always cool.
8 games on a demo disc.
Yeah, like, and it would just, like, have 1 or 2 levels or something
Yeah,
like
just
that.
play
but
a random level
they're
from
fun.
the first Tomb Raider.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
I liked it. Okay. Let's get into the top 5 then.
Here we go.
My number 5 is going to get me some flack, I would imagine. Definitely not a story-focused game, 100%. But it put the Wii on the map, and that is Wii Sports.
I was going to put that on my list, but I thought you'd yell at me.
Really? Really, we should just be saying Wii bowling because that's what everybody. I played Wii bowling
Absolutely.
so much.
I played baseball too quite
Gotcha.
a bit. I played it at Mark's house the first time I ever played a Wii, and I had no interest in getting the Wii at first because I was like, motion controls just seem kind of weird to me. I don't know why. I just want to be able to sit back and play. And then I played baseball, and I remember like kind of going and taking my stance as the batter and moving the controller around, and the bat was following my movements, and I thought that thing was so cool.
Yeah.
And then once I started playing bowling, I was like, all right, I gotta own this thing.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that in some ways this was bad for Nintendo because it gave them a big head and they thought they were doing everything right with the Wii because they sold so many consoles and then tried to mimic that with the Wii U and it did not work out for them.
Yes.
But the fact is they still did sell tons of consoles because of Wii Sports, because of bowling, because people played it. They got hooked, and they loved just that virtual feeling of being able to actually do the movements while still playing a video game.
And how many people did we know? I know a lot personally who aren't gamers in the
exactly.
least that literally just bought the Wii to have a party game at the house.
Exactly.
Yeah, people bought this thing up. They saw the way motion controlling could work in a game like Wii Sports, and they thought it was a fantastic idea and started buying it up. Do you remember the news stories that were coming out like a year after the Wii came out?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, these retirement homes are buying Wiis so that the elderly people can play it, and the schools are going to buy them so the kids who aren't really active are going to play the Wii to lose weight or whatever.
Definitely.
Like, I doubt that actually worked as well as I hoped, but it did move a lot of consoles.
And you'll see from my list that most of the games on here are not necessarily because they're my favorite games that came out at launch, because honestly, a lot of stuff that comes out at launch is crap. It really is, at least from what I can tell, and for me, because JRPGs usually take longer to make, so they're not typically launch titles. But I don't know, man. It's I love promoting the industry so much that when I see something like this that comes along that just skyrockets it, I think that's just so cool.
Definitely.
So that's my number 5, Wii Sports. Mark?
My number 5.
Every time.
Goodness.
Every time.
My number 5 is Super Mario 64, but it appears on some other lists later on, so I will wait until then.
All right. Brian, number 5.
My number 5 is Soul Calibur for the Sega Dreamcast. I didn't normally like fighting games, but Soul Calibur had that robust story to it. Cutscenes.
Yeah.
And it was gorgeous when it first came out. Woo! Yeah, that's about it.
Speaking of Wii U, that was my
What was
Wii
that?
U. Yeah, that was an update.
Brian, I agree. I didn't play the first one, but I played the second one and the third one and thought they were fantastic games. Really sucked me into the
Your brother really liked Soul
genre.
Calibur too. I remember him
Yeah, he
playing
did.
that like crazy.
But we got a Dreamcast. I can't remember. I think we got one right when it launched, but I remember having Soul Calibur. And then I think we bought Code Veronica down the line, but that wasn't a launch title. But definitely Soul Calibur was a fantastic launch title for that system. Too bad it didn't pan out for Sega, but they had some pretty decent launch titles with that Dreamcast.
All right, cool. Number 4. Brian and I have the same number 4, actually.
We do have the same number 4.
Yep, and that is
Nice.
Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, you're
but
good.
It's Super Entertainment System.
Super Entertainment System. The SES.
The SES. Super Nintendo Entertainment System. That Yoshi, right?
Yeah, I mean, this game just... Coming off of Super Mario Bros. 3, first of all, that was going to be like, all right, how can they top this?
Right.
And then they did.
Yeah, it had the same kind of structure as Super Mario 3 where you kind of moved through the world level by level, but had all this secret hidden places where you like unlocked the colored blocks.
Absolutely.
And, it was just... Woo.
And the fact that you could ride a freaking dinosaur
Oh, yeah.
and fly on him.
And you can discover things like eating certain enemies would give you like different like colored Yoshis. And different, it was crazy.
There was so much to it, and it was just Super Nintendo, and it just came out right at the beginning. And you'll see from my list, because it's 4 out of the 5 titles, spoilers, are Nintendo titles. I mean, dude, Super Mario World, when it came out, that was the whole reason I wanted to buy a Super Nintendo.
I think Mario games are kind of the gold standard of launch titles. If you think about all the...
I don't know about now, but
Not
as
now.
far as
The
like
90s.
beginning of gaming, yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
For sure. So that would be our number 4, Super
4.
Mario World. Mark, number 4.
My number 4 is Condemned: Criminal Origins. This is from Monolith Entertainment, not Monolith Soft. Sorry, that's a Japanese developer. So it's from Monolith Entertainment, and they're the guys who made Fear 2, Shogo, Mobile Armor Division. So I have a lot of these games that I've talked about in the past, and I love them. And I think I've talked about this one too. I think I said it was 5 dead hobos out of 5 on my fun scale. It's just this really cool survival horror game where you play a cop who's sort of become framed for all these murders, and you're going around with paranormal investigating equipment and checking out crime scenes and beating the crap out of homeless people with like lead pipes and whatever you can find in the environment.
Nice.
It was fantastic, and for the year it came out, there was just nothing like it.
Wasn't it terrifying?
It was pretty terrifying, yeah, because you'd just be in dark areas and you could hear homeless people around you. Not just the normal homeless people, like the crazy ones.
True enough.
Right on. No one likes crazy homeless people.
Yeah, that's...
Wow.
You'd get guns, too, but you'd have like 3 bullets.
So
and you would have to wait like 30 minutes to get another gun.
Was it survival horror, first-person shooter type thing?
Yeah, but it had a heavy emphasis on action, so
Gotcha.
it wasn't like... It wasn't as intense as some in that sense.
Understandable.
Okay. Number 3. My number 3 is Super Mario 64, but it shows up later on someone else's list, so we'll talk about it then.
My number 3, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Is my number... Sorry, I had to check.
Wow.
I was seeing if it was on anyone else's list.
That was classic.
It's not on anyone else's list. I'm actually kind of shocked.
Because we don't.
I guess you guys tried to call me out on
Yeah,
it.
we
though,
don't
so I
really
should
look
have
at it
known.
as a launch title.
I played it on the
It's a launch title.
It's because I played it on the GameCube. That's why I was convinced it was a GameCube end cycle game.
I mean,
It did come first on the Wii.
Right.
Internally, I'm sure it was designed for the GameCube, and it was supposed to be a GameCube title, and they just held it back and released it on the Wii first as an excuse.
Ooh,
to
is that an
move
omen
consoles.
for the Zelda coming out for the Wii U?
Probably.
Dun, dun, dun,
Probably.
dun, dun,
I wouldn't be surprised if they did a multi-launch like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
But yeah, they basically what happened was in a lot of regions it came out to the Wii like a week or 2 before it came out on the GameCube, just to force people who can't wait to buy the new console.
Wii. Yeah.
But it was a fantastic game. I think it really defined the Wii for a lot of people. I mean, before that, it was Wind Waker. So we were coming off of this really cutesy GameCube Zelda and coming back to the classic dark Zelda that a lot of people fell in love with.
Yeah. Had the
And-
same kind of N64 feel.
It was
definitely.
very grown up compared to Wind Waker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, I bet you've played it. It's just a really good game. So there you have it.
All right.
Nice.
Mark's number 3, Twilight Princess. Brian, number 3, sir.
My number 3 is Star Wars Rogue Leader Rogue Squadron 2 for the Nintendo GameCube. I loved the Rogue Squadron games. You got to play like all the famous battles with different ships through the Star Wars universe. Now, you guys all know I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, but do you guys remember Action Fleet, the toy line that came out?
I do.
My friend Dave and I collected Action Fleet, and we would have what we called Action Fleet battles, where we would basically take our ships and we'd fly around and we'd as kids would do, make pretend, play pretend, make believe,
Make believe.
Thank you. This basically was a game. That was basically right. Hey, they made a game for the game we like to play in real life, and oh man, did you guys ever play any of the Rogue
I
Squadron?
played the
Oh,
first
yeah.
one. First one.
Holy moly!
I would find any excuse to go over to my neighbor's house
play it?
just to play that game.
Yeah, and it was a launch title for that GameCube too, and man, it was polished. I'll tell you that right now. Loved it.
That's what was so good about gaming back then is like developers couldn't rely on patches.
Correct. So they
And-
didn't use it as a crutch.
Yeah, absolutely. They could just release a game when it was finished.
Yeah.
They had to.
Had to,
Otherwise, they'd get a bad reputation. Now it's like they get a bad reputation, but they fix it and it's like, all right, we forgive you.
They'll get a
It's like,
patch.
oh, okay.
And I think the love for the Rogue Squadron games and the it's weird because I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but I loved the ships and space battles. I played before I ever watched any of the movies. I played, was it TIE Fighter? I think it was either X-wing or TIE Fighter on the computer before I'd ever watched the movies, and so I fell in love with the space and the the airships more than I ever did the characters in the movie. So obviously Rogue Squadron was right out my alley.
That was really cool. Weirdly enough, the first Rogue Squadron came out before Episode 1, but it had the Naboo fighter in it.
That came out for the N64. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
It was a little hidden thing you could find.
That's right.
Cool. All right, number 2. Mark, you and I have the same number 2, and that is Halo Combat Evolved, but it shows later on somebody else's list. So we'll talk about it then.
Brian,
number 2.
Guys, let's talk about my number 2, which is Super Mario 64, which is Mark, that's your number 5, and JJ, that's your number 3.
Yep.
So Mario 64.
Still, hands down, my favorite Mario game.
I remember playing this game for the first time at a Best Buy and not knowing how to do anything on it.
Yeah, man,
That's what happened.
It was like one of the first 3D games any of us ever played.
Yeah, I remember it was at Best Buy. I go in there, and there was a Dreamcast set up with Nights into Dreams. I tried playing that, and I freaking loved it. And I was like, dude, I'm going Sega this gen. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I went to go try the Nintendo 64 one, and it locked down my decision to go Sega. So I'm sitting there and I'm playing it, and because I had if anybody's ever played the Nintendo 64, you know that the way you control most games, especially in Mario, was with the control stick at the bottom of the controller.
Yep.
I didn't know what that was for, so I was going old school, and I was trying to use the crosshairs, and all that does is change your camera angles. So I'm like, Mario, move, damn it, and I could just make him jump, and that was it, because I was pushing A and everything like that, and I was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I'm going Sega, because Nights into Dreams is amazing.
I remember I was furious when I saw that N64 controller for the first time. I went over to my neighbor's house and played a little bit of Mario 64, and also, this wasn't during launch, it was later on, but and also some GoldenEye, and I was just like, what the? I don't have 3 hands. What is the point of this thing?
Yeah,
right.
I think everybody had that shell shock value with 64. It wasn't the first 3D game.
No, but for a lot of us, it was the first one we experienced.
Right, because the first 3D game I ever played was Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation.
I think that came out after.
Did it? Because, but I still used the D-pad for moving Snake around, because it wasn't like a camera swinging 3D world. Because I remember Mario 64, I was so lost on how to. Okay, I got to control my character, but then I got to swing the camera at the same time, and you were just like,
yeah, it was like
terrible.
Patting your head and rubbing your belly. At
yes,
the same
it
time.
was one of those moments where you'd look back at modern gaming, and you're like, yeah, 3D is so easy now. But man, I still remember trying to figure out Mario 64 and being like, I don't know how to do this. But still remains one of the greater atmospheres.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only way that I actually eventually figured out, Metal Gear Solid came out 2 years later.
2 years later. Yeah, I don't remember playing Metal Gear Solid like with the joysticks, though. I always used the D-pad. I remember Mario 64 was the first game that made me actually have to.
My cousin eventually got the N64, and I had my PlayStation because I had Final Fantasy VII, and I didn't even get a 64 till years down the line. But he had it, and I was like, dude, I remember playing that stupid thing in Best Buy. The controls are terrible. He's like, what are you talking about, dude? Super easy. And I'm like, no, because I played it. I couldn't do anything. Mario was dumb, and he just stood there, and he jumped in place. That's all I could do, and I could just switch around his face.
Yeah.
It was dumb. And he's like, here, watch. And I watched him play. I was like, how are you moving him?
Yeah.
What? And he goes, you use this down here. And I'm like, holy crap. And he showed me how to hold the controller. Wow. And I mean, I was hooked right off the bat. And I was like, this is one of the greatest games I've ever played.
1996 is when N64 dropped. Is that right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, man. Yeah, that was right at the cusp of 3D. You remember when you got good and you could like backflip with Mario, putting on trees and
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The triple jump, the old famous triple jump.
Mark was actually recording his show, Fool's Lantern. Go check it out on iTunes.
Yep.
A couple of weeks ago, and they were making fun of me because they record at my apartment because I've got the studio set up here. But I was in my living room and I was playing Mario 64. And I remember Stitch and Shanna were making fun of me because I couldn't get that jump. And I was like, man, if this was 10 years ago, I'd be doing this in my sleep. It's ridiculous.
You're on that level with like the sinking ship.
Yeah. And then I did one of the snow levels as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And yeah, it was just. I was getting
frustrated. It was one of those revolutionary games that kind of drove gaming forward, I think.
Mario 64.
Definitely. Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. Number 1. Mark. You and I have the same number 1, sir.
My number 1 is Super Mario Bros.
Yep. Super Mario Brothers.
For the original Nintendo Entertainment System.
Correct. This is another one of those, like I mentioned before, where what it did for gaming, this put gaming on the map.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where everybody turned their heads and said, what is that?
Definitely. Well, actually, for me, it's kind of even stranger. It's like, for me, because of my age...
Did you have to, like, wait an extra month to get it?
No. Hold on. You might find this trivial or you might find it interesting. But for me, I'm a little bit younger than you guys. So, to me, this game just always existed. As far back as I can remember, I was playing this game.
Gotcha.
I just go... I'm going down to the basement to play Super Mario Brothers.
Yep. Yeah.
My uncle bought it for me when I was 6. I think 1990 is when I got my first NES.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we played it in, would have been like 85, 86. I was about 2-3 years old.
I wasn't born yet.
Thanks, jerk. But you look back, you look at it now, and if you tell somebody you should play original Mario Brothers, it's so simplistic and so just you go to the right, can't go back, watch out for stuff, and beat the dragon, save the princess. That's it.
Right.
Super simplistic.
The turtle dragon.
When it came out, though, nobody had ever seen anything like that.
Yeah.
And it just blew everybody away. And the fact that it was so simple and so unbelievably impactful at the same time is why it's my number one as far as best console.
Read a funny game fact the other day.
Launch.
About Super Mario. The first Goomba that you encounter is the deadliest enemy in video game history. Because nobody really knew how to play, so they'd run into him or miss jump, or and he's killed more players than any other.
I'm going to confess something as well, and there's I haven't really told anybody this before, but it's going to do a huge blow to my gamer cred. I have never beaten Super Mario Brothers 1.
Really? The princess has always been in another castle for you.
Never ever. I've gotten to the final dungeon. I can remember that, but I've never actually crossed the line. Never finished it.
Wow.
I think it was harder than Super Mario Brothers 3.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I beat 3 1,000 times over.
Yeah.
The only way I beat 1 was years later, and obviously I was older, and my friend's sister taught me the turtle shell one-up trick on one of the steps. And I got 99 lives, and I was able to plow through the rest of it. I think I was 9 or 10 at that point. But
also, let's not forget freaking warp zones.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What game had that, at that time?
Yep.
It'd be well, you can play this one of two ways. You can keep going straight and go to World 2, or you can take this warp zone and go to freaking Warp 4.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
For the longest time, I didn't even know what the first, 3 zones looked like.
You're right.
That's very true.
I mean, that's so cool. So the fact that it came out at that time and had such an impact, and still to this day, people still look at it as one of the greatest things. I mean, they just came out with Mario Maker, and that's based on what they did with this, that many years ago.
Yep.
So it's pretty damn impressive. So that's my number one and Mark's number one, Super Mario Brothers, the original for the regular Nintendo.
And not Brian's.
No,
not Brian's.
Not even on my list.
Brian's number one is the same, however, as Mark and I's number 2.
Pretty sure y'all can guess Halo Combat Evolved.
Woo!
Yeah.
Wow. That's a good pick.
I mean,
Solid pick, bro.
what else is to say? It's spawn. I mean, I nicknamed the new system Halo Box 1 for a reason.
It put Xbox on the map.
Oh, man.
Hands down.
Yeah.
And I had the most with this game. I had the most gaming memories. Playing it in college, sneaking out at night, having the janitor let us into the class. This college will remain unnamed, by the way. And we snuck into the classrooms at midnight, and this was back in 2004, so they had a network through authors. They didn't have Google Fiber and stuff back then, but they had networked computer classrooms with projectors and a big old projector mat.
Solid.
And we'd have 4 teams of 4, because as you know, you could play 8 on 8, each on an Xbox, and we'd go to classrooms throughout the school, get let in, hook up to the network, and play local co-op till 5 in the morning when we had to clear out when the teachers were coming in. I mean, that's the kind of memories I have playing Halo. I remember playing Legendary with my roommate. We used to play at a friend's house after high school every day. Man, I'm sure you guys have similar memories.
Yeah.
Not of Halo 1, honestly. I mean, again, this is just another one of those for me. Halo 2 is my favorite in the series that I've played so far. But it's impossible to ignore what Halo did for the Xbox.
Definitely.
Like, I asked you guys this before, like, interesting question. Do you think the Xbox would be as successful if Halo had gone to Sony?
Nope.
Not even close.
I mean,
It
there's
would
just no way.
It wouldn't have existed.
I think it would have failed.
I mean,
It would have been Dreamcast all over again.
yeah. I think there's a good chance that that's true.
I'll go ahead and go on a limb and say Halo is the strongest pillar of a title, a first-party title, since Mario.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. When you think Xbox, you think Master Chief.
Absolutely.
Even people who haven't played the game know who Master Chief is.
Heck, I have on Windows 10 now. I have a Cortana assistant, like
true.
Siri.
It's true.
That literally came. Microsoft has now adapted Halo franchise into other things that don't have anything to do with games.
To productivity software.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like that's how big that this first party launch.
I ate this game up.
Oh yeah.
It was the first like really well-rounded, like advanced FPS that came out to a console. Before that, I was like, oh, why would I ever play a FPS on a console?
I have Half-Life.
Yep.
But then that came out, and I just went right into it, and I was a total dork. Like I would just go into levels and just explore
Yeah.
what was in the level. I would just ignore Cortana when she's telling me where to go and just find out what's under this waterfall.
That's such
what's
a
behind
Mark-
all these trees.
That's such a Mark way to do
The
it.
funny thing is, if you've played the Master Chief Collection now, I can't even imagine exploring the way it looked in the old thing because, oh my gosh,
have you
every
switched-
single
It's
place
ugly.
looks the same.
Have you switched the? Oh, and you're just like. That's
You get
what-
an achievement for doing it every level.
This is where I get my idea for nostalgia being rosy colored glasses. I get that with Halo because I remember playing the Anniversary Collection, and in my mind, Halo 1 was gorgeous.
Halo 1 looked like that in your
Absolutely
mind.
gorgeous. And then you're playing it and you're like, oh yeah, this is what it looked like. And then you hit the button to switch over and you go, you go,
boy.
wait a minute. It looks like it did with the remade, not this is what it was. So you get that idea of like, wow.
Wait a minute, is this Star Siege Tribes?
You're going,
Yeah.
this is what I was playing. I remember it looking way better. So it's weird. It's weird how that graphics upgrades work because you have that idea of it looking gorgeous because it did back when it came out. It was absolutely. Mark said he went around and explored. Now it looks like a janky mess.
For sure. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, well, there we have it. Our top 5 launch titles. Heck yeah, man.
Launch titles,
Good
guys.
stuff. I want some more side quests. I want people to send in some side quests, man. If anybody wants to all you have to do is just record yourself saying something, doing something, whatever, and send it to me. I can edit it if you want me to, or you can edit it yourself the way Raul has done, the way Mark has done, or you can, like I said, I'll edit it the way Matt did. He just put a whole spiel together and just let me kind of work with it a little bit. Honestly, it doesn't need to be award-winning stuff. You just say your thoughts, whatever you're thinking.
We love to hear it.
And we want to hear it. That's it. Yeah, we just want to generate some discussion. That's all. So please send it in. frozennorthpodcast@gmail.com. With that, I think that is the end of episode number 68. Do you guys have anything else? All right, well, if nobody's got anything else, then I guess we're going to call it.
Call it what?
Call it
Done?
68.
Finished?
Why
Finito?
68?
We got to play some more FF14?
That's right.
All right, with that, this is the Frozen North signing off for episode number 68. My name is JJ.
My name is Mark.
His name is Mark, and my name is Brian.
And as always, thank you for listening. Keep on gaming.
Our theme song was made available through the Creative Commons Attribution license by Ziphoid. The song title is Radical Fanfare.